Hello and welcome back to the My Football Writer YouTube channel. And it's me, Henry Miller, and we're doing something that we haven't done in a while. It's an opposition match preview ahead of Watford versus Norwich City. It's the early kickoff, 12:30 at Vicarage Road on Saturday. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by quite a well-known Watford fan on X. It's Aaron Tamplin. So Aaron, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Yeah, I would say excited to talk about Watford, but it's been a weird few weeks, to be honest. So
yeah, so I've seen a lot of speculation about Tom Cleverley, and I actually saw your tweet the other day saying that you were going to stage a walkout or something like that. So just tell us more about that tweet and tell us more about the Tom Cleverley situation, because as I understand it, he's coming under a lot of fire at the minute.
yeah, it's such a bizarre situation, but effectively what's happened is we've been on a bad run of games, but no one's really sort of lost faith in him as such. What's happened though is after this long run of games, the rumours have started coming out out of the woodwork that Watford might be looking to sack the manager again. And although we've been in a bit of a slump since probably November, not a single Watford fan I know wants Tom Cleverley gone. So to wake up the other morning and see that they were saying that he was already gone, and that there was supposedly a Spaniard, Pacheta, former Villarreal manager, was going to come in and take his place. I mean, the fan base just absolutely lost it. I mean, I have never seen the Watford fan base so united in one decision since probably when we went Hodgson gone. Andrew French of the Watford Observer, the local paper, went straight away, asked the club for a comment on the situation. Now, in previous scenarios, because the basket club we are with managers, we've had to issue statements on even that we're going to keep a manager, and we did that for Chris Wilder a few years ago when he had just joined. The people said we're going to sack him already. They came out and said no, fully behind him. So when Andrew French went to the club and they went no comment, we sort of all went, well, it must be true then, he's gone. And it just caused the most uproar. Obviously, the Pozzos were adored at Watford, and as time's gone on, it slowly got tedious, and it was going to be a breaking point. I think had the club announced the sacking of Tom Cleverley the next day, the fans would have lost it, and there'd be even more animosity towards the owner. But then they released another dubious statement. He's going to be in charge of the Coventry game. We were like, well, that's not any better, really. You've still not, given us a straight answer. And then right the morning of the Coventry game, they come out and say that they're behind Tom Cleverley all the way. And I genuinely think that the plan was to let Tom Cleverley go, and they have been persuaded by the reaction of the fan base to stick with him. And it's absolutely the right decision. I can't believe they were even considering it. I mean, the fact I think we're 8th or 9th of the league table now, close to the playoff positions. With the squad we've got at the moment, we've spent the least money in the league. We had a summer window where half the players are either now being loaned out, sold, or recalled. I think we've got 3 of them left. The job he's done is amazing. And I think the fans really do feel a connection with him, being a former player, former captain. It's his first managerial job. I mean, I just think to sack him would be the most bonkers of all of the Pozzo sackings.
Yeah, and I'm recording this on a Monday evening. I've just got back from producing the scrimmage on BBC Radio Norfolk. We had a Watford fan on our show today called Gary, and he said that there was a statistic that 97% of Watford fans were behind Tom Cleverley. And I think that's just damning on the owners, really. That just shows you everything you need to know. But is this the first time? Because the Pozzos, from the outside looking in, seem like owners who maybe do care about the club, but it's their way or the highway. And is this the first time that they've actually listened to the fans and go, well, no, the fans are unanimously behind Tom Cleverley. We have to keep him in charge.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I think has happened. Really good podcast from a Watford perspective. Do not scratch your eyes. If there is any Watford fans listening that don't listen to them, I'd be surprised if you don't go and listen to them. They always do like big spaces after the games on X. And they were saying how this has shown that as a collective, if we all unite and give the same message, that they have to listen to us. We hold more power than we perhaps think. Because you're absolutely right, it has been their way or the highway, and it absolutely did work. Like it worked for a long time. We had a really good stint in the Premier League. We had a great squad, especially in that 18-19 season. But it's dwindled out, and they keep trying to do the same thing, and it just hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked for a while. And there's that quote where it's like insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting different results. But that is what the football club at the moment. They sack the manager over and over again. They don't change their recruitment. They'll bring in players from Udinese, and they bring in from abroad, and some of them come really good. And I guess the aim is that they bring in these players and they sell them for a profit, like your João Pedro, like your Yasser Asprilla, like your Ishmael Kone, that we've gone and got really good money for, that's helped clear some of the debt. But now, this summer and this January window, where it looks like we're not going to bring in anyone again, and they're just being so frugal, and it makes you question why. And I was saying on a podcast earlier on the Championship Terrace Talk, go give that one a watch too. Shameless plug. If they came out and said, okay, we're not going to spend as much money now because we are open to selling the club and we're waiting for offers or investors, then I think fans would give them more time. But the fact you've not spent any money, you're still saying you want the Premier League, you can't do both. You can't spend nothing and expect the world, and then to then think, okay, the solution is we get another manager. It's absolutely. I'm going to say the word again. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. So you've shared the insight as to what's going on off the field, but let us know what's going on the pitch for Watford, because I think a lot of people, I know they're not the top 20 boys, predicted Watford to finish rock bottom of the Championship, which I was surprised about. But yeah, it's going really well. You've been in and around the playoffs all season, so yeah, has that been a shock to you, or is that something that you've sort of expected being a Watford fan?
No, massive shock, honestly. Didn't quite agree that we'd be at the foot of the table, but I did think we'd be around 18, 19th at the start of the season. This squad on paper just isn't strong. It's not like Watford squads of old. We sold our best two players in Ishmael Kone and Yasser Asprilla. So, and I think that's just even more testament to the job that Tom Cleverley is doing. I think we've played some great games, and for a long time when we had that big long home run that came to an end last month, it was clear that what we do have that we didn't have before was some kind of mentality. And I just think they're starting to creep back into their old ways, because I can tell you in Watford teams of old are just the most mentally fragile football teams you'll ever see, no matter what the talent we had. Whereas we really looked like in that home run, I think we were, it was 16 or 17 games unbeaten from towards the end of last season to December at home. It was a wicked run. You'd go to home games and you'd think, well, it doesn't matter if it's Borough or whoever's coming, we can do them. And yeah, the form recently is just, injuries haven't helped. Players just coming out of their purple patches. I mean, we got Vacuum Bio up front, who just is the most bipolar footballer ever. He's had some amazing games, scored 4 at Sheffield Wednesday, and other games you wouldn't know was on the pitch. But I think if I was to pick a player sort of for you to watch out for Saturday, it's probably going to be Georgie Chakvetadze.
Yeah, I know. I know Chakvetadze has like scored quite a lot of goals this season, and he's been someone that's really been at the front of discussions whenever we've spoken about Watford and Watford's good start to the season. But what do you think your weaknesses and what your strengths as well? You've spoken about Chakvetadze there being your strength, but where can Norwich City really hurt you at the weekend?
It's absolutely the midfield. The midfield, we don't know our best partnership, because it's just we don't have the players to fit the way we play. We've sort of alternated between a back five and a back four throughout the whole season because the pieces we have in midfield and whether they're available at the same time, it just never seems to coincide. The performances of midfielders recently, Imran Luz has been absolutely fantastic, but he's had a few injuries. Tom Deli Bashiru was a great midfielder for us at the start of the season, then got a really bad injury. He's just coming back. In an ideal world, Watford will start Imran Loser and Tom Deli Bashiru as the two on Saturday. But Deli Bashiru doesn't seem to have more than 60 minutes in him at the moment. And that leaves us to bring on either Sissoko or Kembe because Pierre Geronimo is injured. And those two, complete opposite. They've had such terrible performances in recent weeks. I mean, especially Moussa Sissoko. You watching him now, you wouldn't believe he was a Champions League finalist and World Cup winner and all that. Because I mean, you can tell he's at the end of his career.
Yeah, and something that I did want to ask you, I said this on our last podcast. It feels like, well, this entire decade so far that Norwich and Watford have sort of been joined at the hip. We obviously suffered 2 relegations together, got promoted together in the lockdown season, and we're both yet to get back up into the Premier League, albeit we did finish in the top 6 last season. But why do you think the clubs are going through really sort of parallel runs at the minute? Why do you think there is that sort of likeness in terms of Norwich and Watford at this minute in time?
I couldn't tell you. I know sort of that you've also had your issues with higher ups and stuff. Not quite. I wouldn't say they're parallel to ours in the sense of what the issues are, but I've heard about the changes in ownership and then changes in sort of recruitment staff and things, changing direction. But I know when we played you away, I think I thought there would be a big gulf between the teams this season. I thought the Norwich would be fair at the table and would be in the bottom. It hasn't obviously played out that way, weirdly enough. I think come the end of the season, Norwich will finish above Watford. But whether they go up, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I think both clubs have just had a bit of a almost identity crisis since they've come down. They've both had their success doing things a certain way, and that way has not been as fruitful recently. And then now, where you've got Norwich who are trying to go in a different direction, and you've got Watford who are doing the same old thing. So if you were to tell me, yep, both clubs been joined at the hip, which one do you think will make it out first? I would say Norwich City will.
Yeah, like you alluded to there, the new ownership. I think they officially come in from March. So yeah, hopefully next season we can sort of really see what the new Norwich City is all about, really. But yeah, someone who I will mention now, and I think this fixture is basically key to whatever this man does. Watford fans are known for that outrageous scorpion kick in the Premier League a few years ago. It's Josh Sargent. He got his first start since a massive injury layoff on Saturday and scored 2 goals as we beat Swansea 5-1. And how important is it? Well, not how important is it, but how scared a Watford, I guess, knowing that probably one of, if not the best striker in the league is fit for this game, because Norwich still have a lot of players either out injured, ineligible, or out through suspension. So knowing that Josh Sargent probably is fit and will start this game, surely that's come at the worst possible time for Watford.
I would say so. He has a ridiculous record against us, really. We must be like his best opposition to play against at this point, I'm sure. And I will be putting money on him scoring, to be honest. No, it's a massive test. I'll be totally honest, I'm not really huge on our chances this Saturday. I think with everything that's gone on, it's just a really turbulent time. And I can see that I think if Norwich take the lead, then the crowd's going to get on the back, not of Cleverly, but I think there's going to be even more chance directed at the owner and of that ilk. since the Derby away game has been a prevalent one, and it shows you everything because I'm on social media after. Some of our support recently has been, it's always been, oh, they were quiet, some of the worst fans to come to us. But recently it's been, oh, they were only singing one song the whole game. And the song is, I don't care about Gino. He don't care about me. All I care about is Tom Cleverley. And I think you'll probably hear that one a lot Saturday on Sky.
Yeah, I bet, and it is nice to see when the fans do take control and get what they want. But yeah, like I mentioned to you there briefly, in terms of how Norwich come into this, it's sort of been very similar to Watford in terms of the home form. So Norwich famously went an entire calendar year unbeaten at Carrow Road, and then as soon as that was up, and we had injury problems, we'd lose to Bristol City. Since then, we've lost to Burnley as well, but there are only 2 defeats at Carrow Road this season. So we've made Carrow Road a fortress. Of course, in September, we beat Watford 4-1. So yeah, that was a good result as well. But away from home, we haven't been too fortunate, and it is likely that we'll concede. So yeah, we've had such a brilliant home record, but we've only actually kept 1 clean sheet at home as well, and that was against Hull. And away from home, we've not been great at all, and we've just had 2 games in Yorkshire, albeit against the top 2, but in Sheffield United and Leeds, where we didn't even muster a shot on target. So I think the fact that this is at Vicarage Road, I feel like Watford have a chance, and it seems the past 2 seasons especially that the winner's been the home side. I remember last season, I think we played you in January, and Josh Sargent again scored to give Norwich City the win. But
Yeah.
we famously capitulated at Vicarage Road. We were 2-0 up, an absolute worldie from Hwang Yu-jo, who still don't know whether I can mention that name or not, as he's in a bit of legal hot water, so to speak. But yeah, he scored an absolute banger at Vicarage Road, and then we go on and concede and lose the game. So do you think it's key that this fixture does take place at Vicarage Road because of your great home form and how poor Norwich have been on the road this season?
Oh, it 1,000,000% gives us more of a chance than it would if this was the reverse and we were coming to Carrow Road, because they're very similar. We've been atrocious away from home this season. Randomly had a massive win against Sheffield Wednesday. Otherwise, we've beaten Derby, Millwall, and even those performances. The Derby one was a good one. Even the Sheffield Wednesday game, it wasn't a 6-2 game. So yeah, being at home is huge for us. But like I said, I just think everything surrounding the club at the minute, the injuries we have and the form we have going into the game, is going to take a real performance. I mean, I think Norwich should be very fortunate that Quadro Bar went off injured midweek last week, who's been a bit of a revelation sort of late in this season for us. If you had told me at the start of the season that Quadro Bar would be our starting winger, I would have been, what? But he's been fantastic, and I'm really gutted that he's out for a long period of time now.
Yeah, and someone else to touch upon quickly is Borja Sainz. He's lit the championship up this season, the championship top goal scorer. He's currently serving a 6-match ban for spitting at an opponent in the Sunderland game in just before Christmas at the Stadium of Light, and it didn't come into effect straight away, so it came into effect for the Brighton FA Cup game. So I'm pretty sure this will be game number 5 of his 6-game suspension. So Borja Sainz is still out. Marcelino Nunez is still out, who really did establish himself into the team. Amankwa Forson, who produced late heroics recently in a fixture against Coventry, where he scored 2 goals in added time. He's going to miss the fixture. And I think the biggest kick in the teeth is Matej Jurasek. He'll be missing this fixture. He's a new signing who Norwich City have made from Slavia Prague, but because of Brexit regulations and work permit rules, he can't actually play for the club until the 3rd of February. So yeah, he'll be missing this game as well, unfortunately. So I do think there are absentees and key absentees at that in both camps. But Aaron, if you had to give me a score prediction for Saturday, what would it be?
I would say 2-1 Norwich if I'm looking at it right now.
2-1 Norwich, and yeah, I'm sure that'll be a delight to everybody watching this video. But Aaron, like I was saying, you've got your X handle in your name caption there. You are quite a big and well-known fan when it comes to Watford Twitter and Watford's Twitter Spaces, and you also contribute to some podcasts as well. So if people want to stay up to date with their Watford news, where can they go to sort of get all of your insights, so to speak?
Yeah, so I do a podcast each week, Where Hornets Walk, on the Championship Terrace Talk. So that will, just be Championship Terrace Talk on X. You'll find it. Great stuff on there. And actually, if you're a fan of any other clubs, there's a one for every team. We've got a fan group for each team, all 24. So, even if you're a Stoke or Borough fan watching this, go have a look. But otherwise, just on X, I'll always be chatting about something Watford related, whether it be owners or the fact I really like the red shorts.
Perfect. Yeah, and you are really behind those red shorts. You want that campaign, don't you, to get those red shorts back?
Oh, yeah, they need to be permanent. Look, we've had an amazing home run, and it's all been in red shorts. Our away games have all been won in the home kit with red shorts. Look, it's not a coincidence. That's all I'm saying.
No, exactly. Get those red shorts on. But Aaron, it's been a pleasure. And yeah, so you've been watching the My Football Writer YouTube channel. Stay tuned for another podcast happening where we'll dissect all the fallings out from this game. Hopefully a rare Norwich City win on the road. And yeah, thank you for listening and watching.